looked into some of the defense companies. What was one that you guys looked into? Yes.
Lockheed Martin.
Okay, what about them?
It's a American aerospace arms defense security and advanced technology company with worldwide interests.
Yeah, so I am invested in that company right now, right? So I want to talk about it today because I get basically free analysis from you guys. So I'm going to talk about something called the military-industrial complex. What is the military-industrial complex? Does anyone know what that is? Take a guess. There's 3 words in there. What are the 3 words? Yes?
It's an informal.
Did you search it up?
Yeah.
Flush your computers. Someone else. Nagar, what is military-industrial complex? We talked about this in history, kind of.
You did?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well, does anyone want to take one more guess? Yes.
Like some form of like pricing military equipment or something?
Pricing military equipment?
Like the demand of it.
Yes, but more of the supply of it. So what the military-industrial complex is, it's a term that was coined by Dwight D. Eisenhower after the Second World War, right? It's the idea that the U.S. economy, it's so reliant on the military to stay afloat, right? Meaning, their military makes such a big part of their economy, right? They can't live without it. They have to fight a war at any given time. I mean, if you look at the United States history, right? Basically, if you look at the history of the United States, right? It's only 300 years, and they've been at war for 200 of those years, right? It's the idea that if the Americans need to fight a war somewhere at any given moment, or else they will go into an economic recession, because war is such a profitable industry, right? So where is the map of the United States? Oh, nope, that's not the United States.
The one on the top says,
It says Canada.
Yeah, I know, but we don't have one.
We don't have a U.S. map.
Yeah, there is.
Where is it?
It might be the middle one. What's the middle one?
This is Europe. All right, fill
There
up.
has to be.
Fill up.
The Canada one?
That was
You got the
States.
The north?
Nope, not this one.
There should be one in
Do you see how there's
North
2 in between? Is there any?
No, that's just rolled up.
Okay.
What was
I'm
it?
gonna draw America then. Check if it's behind Africa.
Just
All right, so let's say
You pull up a picture.
America. Beautiful. America, right? So, let's say you're a normal company. What does a normal company do with their resources? Do you think they spread them out or they headquarter it? I want to pick someone. Kyan, let's say you're a normal company, right? Is it more efficient for you to spread your resources across America or to center them in one spot?
Like, what do you mean? Like, if you're a company, you're like selling something?
No, let's say your operations, right? Your management. Would you want to, and your employees, your factories, do you want to spread them out all over America? Or like, let's say you headquarter it here in Washington, D.C. That's where D.C. is, right? Relative. Yeah, so somewhere there. Yes, Chris. Oh, sorry. Yeah, keep going. My bad.
I guess one place, but aren't most factories like not in America? Like most of them are in like Bangladesh or like China or something?
Yes, that's a good point. But let's say your operations, right? You want to headquarter them. Why would you want to headquarter your operations? Yes.
So it's faster to communicate, less transportation, and like.
Yes, it's efficient, right? You keep your things close together, which is why certain hubs exist, like say Silicon Valley, right? It's where all the tech startups are. Yes, were you going to say something, Chris?
I was going to bring that
Yes.
up.
But let's talk about defense companies. Does anyone know what the F-35 program is? What's the F-35? Yes.
A plane.
Yes, a plane. What type of plane is it?
Fifth
I'm gonna draw it.
generation fighter jet, I think.
Why does it could know everything?
Okay.
I don't know.
So the F-35. That's like Patrick.
It's like the space class again.
But, phew, flames. Anyways, the F-35, it's this really expensive fighter jet program, right? That's, I think, maybe even $1 trillion, right? Which is a lot of money. And it will create 100,000 jobs in the United States. Good jobs, right? These are not like your low-wage jobs. These are like engineers, skilled labor, designers, right? Architects. Why do you think Lockheed Martin don't center their operations in one spot. Like let's say DC, right? They're right next to Washington. Why would they not center it in one spot? Why would they spread it over America? Think about it. I think you know the answer, so I'm not going to pick on you. Harry, why? Why, even though it's more cost efficient and effective to center to headquarter, right? Why would they spread it out? Spread their operations out over America. Like, let's say, what's a city in the U.S. that no one knows about? What's a city? Name a city. Name a state.
Chicago.
Chicago? Chicago is a relevant city. An irrelevant one.
Iowa.
Maine. Maine's irrelevant. Where's Maine?
It's like
It's up there.
almost.
It's too close for almost.
It's too close.
It doesn't matter. Maine, right? And then let's say an irrelevant city on the West Coast. What's an irrelevant city on the West Coast?
Vancouver.
Phoenix.
No,
That's-
Dude, yo.
Vancouver, Washington.
Yeah, there's a big.
that's relevant. That's in Seattle.
But that's-
Irrelevant. Who's irrelevant?
Phoenix.
Who?
Phoenix, Arizona.
That's a capital. It's a state.
Well, I guess.
Come on, you're in jail. Monica, what's the irrelevant city in the West Coast?
Yeah, look on the map.
Bellingham.
Bellingham. Cool.
Six.
Bell. Right? Why not center DC? I mean, think about it. If these two guys have to do something, they have to communicate all the way across. Why would they spread their operations out? Nope, I'm not picking on you. You know the answer, right?
I think maybe. Not sure.
Monica, what's the answer? Think about it. Think about it. You're this company, right? Why spread it out? Yes, Kai.
Is it like smaller cities have a lower state like tax?
That could be part of it. I'm not sure about that. That could be part of it, but I was thinking of this other bigger reason. Yes.
Maybe like because it's such a big project, it needs to split up to generate, like, so that it's not like centralized, so that like they're not buying from one place, and like
You're on
there's,
track.
like, people.
All right, let's
like,
wrap it up here. Leo,
more
why?
economy.
No.
Why?
No. Right.
Yeah, I had a different thought because
Yes,
like you know, the America's adversaries, they would tend to bomb the big cities. And, and if they're working on a military project, well, it should be like spread out so in case one gets bombed, they can still like produce.
Very creative. But no, I'm going to tell you why.
Is it distributed
Wait,
efficiently?
they bomb DC, it's not like there's America then.
Well, they can just relocate the capital.
No. Wait. I'll tell you why. It's for a much better reason than America gets bombed. So for big projects like these, right, the funding for it comes from the federal government, right? Meaning that it has to go through Congress. Congress needs to approve this very expensive project. This $1 trillion that goes towards this Patrick plane, it's not going towards healthcare, education, right? Or infrastructure. So what they do is they need support from Congress. And what this does, spreading it all out, right? It's against support from both sides of Congress. Which is why these defense companies, right, they have bipartisan support. Let's say instead 100,000 jobs, right? Instead of putting 100,000 jobs in DC, let's say I put 3,000 jobs in Bellingham, 3,000 jobs in Maine, 3,000 jobs down in Florida, right? So every Congress or senator, every congressman or senator, right, has a vested interest in this program. If they kill this program, they kill jobs in their district. And no Congress or senator will kill jobs in their own district. Does that make sense? Which is the reason why they want to spread it out. And this is what the military industrial complex is about, right? It's that the United States economy, it's so reliant on war, on selling arms, right? Without it, they go into recession. And which is why I bought stock in this company last year in March. Why would I buy it last year in March? There was two big uncertainties back in March, right? One was the pandemic.
Wasn't there like also something about like I think it was either with China or like
Iran.
Trump killed some dude in Iran, and
killed the terrorists. Oh.
yeah,
Yeah, and then they got unhappy and.
obviously. Anyways, point is,
Everything that somebody gets
the two uncertainties was one, the pandemic, right, and then the other, it's election. And what this company does, it's like a safety, right? Because I'm a very defensive investor. I look to avoid risk rather than look for gains, right? So this is like a safe company, right? Because one, it doesn't depend on consumer spending. So during recessions, consumer spending drops, right? But that doesn't mean the government will stop spending. And second, it's Joe Biden versus Donald, right? Both of them are actually pretty pro-military. Like Biden will increase the defense budget. So this company was a pretty safe bet. All right, we're going to move into how to pay for college and personal finances. Yep. Is there any questions about this military-industrial complex stuff? And that's just our current event for today. Yes.
So if it goes into war, would the stock increase?
Well, if the factory
Yes.
gets bombed.
Yes.
not-
Last year, I actually made a trade off of the killing of the Iranian general, right? Is that recording? Ethical stuff. But point is, during times of crisis, these companies their stock goes up, right? Like after the Iranian general was killed, the stock went up 10% because they're like, oh, World War III, right? And the second trade I made based on this information was, do you remember the time when a few months back, a bunch of people thought it'd be cool to storm the Capitol?
Oh.
Yeah. Basically, gun stocks went up 10% that day, and I'm like, time to short it. And I shorted gun stocks that day. Anyways, a bit less interesting stuff, but I thought we would go into some things that you actually need for the future, which is personal finances rather than just talking about options. So interest and debt, I think we did part of this, right?
Maybe we went up to FICO's.
Yeah. Okay. What is interest? What are the two types of interest, if anyone remembers?
Simple and compounded.
Yes, simple and compounded. Explain them.
Simple is, I guess you have the same rate.
No, not the same rate. Your rate remains the same for compounded too.
Yeah, I know, but how do I explain this? Over a period of time, it's not calculated until the very end. But compounded it's compounded after a certain time period, and then you gain interest off of the money you just made.
Yeah, so to simplify it, in simple interest, your principal doesn't change, right? Principal is the amount of money you owe. So the interest is based on the principal, but in compounded interest, your interest gets added to the principal. So you owe interest on interest, right? And the rule of 72 is just a math thing to divide by for the doubling time. So for example, if you have a compounded interest of 10%, your doubling time will be 72 over 10. All right, why do interest rates go up and down? Why do they go up and down? Oh, Shreya.
Economic health. So if the economy is down poo, then the government would lower interest rates to stimulate the economy so that people will borrow money, start businesses, spend money,
Yes.
cycle the money.
Yeah. The central bank determines interest rates. All right, now we're going to talk about debt. So, do you guys know what a FICO score is? A FICO.
Did we talk about this last time?
Do we?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We-
okay.
we can-
FICO score is basically, it's a score that keeps track of your credibility, right? So these companies, let's say your FICO score is based on things like how much money you make versus how much debt. So it's your earnings to debt equity, right? Ratio, or how much money you owe. How often do you pay your money? Have you ever bankrupted before, right? So that's what the FICO score is based on. And the higher your FICO score, the better it is. And I actually have the numbers down here. But anyways, let's talk about FICO score for a second. So it's a number from 650 to 850, right? And I'm just going to put it in terms that you guys can understand. So let's say 850 to 780. Is the score good or bad? 850 is the max. 650, it's kind of low.
It's bad.
No, it's the best. It's the best. So let's say an IB grade, right?
Just
This,
sounds very bad.
7.
it's a 7, right? And let's say you have your, 780 to 720. What is this? This is your 7 plus 6. This will be your 5, right? Is 5 a good grade?
No.
Yes! 5 is a good grade, okay?
No.
5 is a good grade. In your ministry, 5 it's like a 93.
And then in math, it's like, if you take HL math, it's over 90.
You get like 40%, and then you get a 5 in HL math. Let's say 720 to 650. Is this good? Yeah, it's not bad. You need to understand a 4 or 3 in IB, it's actually not that bad of a score, right? You'll still pass the IB program. You'll still go to university, but you probably won't go to Harvard. And then anything
You get
below,
38 and then-
pardon?
I'm pretty sure you just need to get like 38 total points or something, and you can go to
You need
some-
24 to pass. So four in each class. So basically, yeah, that's just a FICO score. Anything below 650, you're in like the 3 and 2 range. That's when you should start panicking. That's when you know you won't get your diploma, right? Debt repayment, high interest rate versus. Okay, we're gonna do one thing before debt repayment, and that is APR versus EAR. Do you guys know what these stand for? So your APR, it's the annual percentage rate for interest, right? So for example, let's say your APR is 10%, right, per month. 10% per month. What is your, let's say your interest is 10% per month. What's your APR? If you have a 10% interest per month, right, what would your APR be?
Wait, it's compound interest, right?
No, APR does not take into effect compounding. That's EAR, which we'll talk about shortly.
So just 120%?
Yeah, so APR, so 10% a month, right?
Yeah.
Times 12 months a year, your APR gets to 120%. Crap, this market is pretty bad. It's fine, I have another one here. But what EAR takes into account, right? It's the compounding effect. So for example, let's say your APR is 20%, right? And it's compounded monthly. Let's say you have a 20% compounded monthly. Do you think your actual interest rate will be 20% per year?
No.
No, right? Because of the compounding effect. So what EAR does is, let's say there's 20% interest rate, right? So what you do is you take 20%, right? Divided by the period that's compounded by. So this says it's monthly. So there's 12 months in a year, right? So you compound it twice. What's 20 over 12? Can you get out a calculator?
That's 1.666666.
Ooh, smart guy. Are you taking EHL math?
No. I mean, I will, but like.
You will? Smart
probably
man.
will.
And then what this does, it's you have a 1.66 month interest, right? And let's say you owe $100, right? What you do, it's your effective interest rate will be 1.66 to the 12 per year. So what it does is it takes into compounding. Can you do that for me? 1.66 to the 12? Not in your head.
Oh.
Unless
I probably can't do it.
1.66 to the 12. Are you on a calculator or anything?
Yeah.
Hurry up.
I'm not gonna do it in my head, I'm sorry.
Hurry up, faster. It's just type.
459?
Huh?
You guys have done it right.
459? No,
What?
minus the 100. Don't worry about the 100 here. Just 1.66 to the 12.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Do you know the number? What is it? 1.66 to the 12.
It's less than 2048. I mean, it's
Yeah.
It's less than. It's less than.
Can you give it? Oh.
281?
Hey.
That's what this is. 1.6 to the 12?
Yeah.
281.5.
Oh, I did the math wrong. That's why. Anyways, it's supposed to be. I forgot decimal point. But what this does, it's like it compares your effective interest rate, right? That's what EAR is to the APR. So APR is just kind of like it's not really what you're paying, right? Although it's 20% yearly, the effective interest rate you're paying is 28.1%. Does that make sense? All right, next one. Keep looking.
Oh, wait, are you gonna cover your snowball or higher?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's what we're gonna do. Okay, so keep going. I need the diagram.
Oh.
Okay, so can you guys see this?
Not really.
All right. I'll close the lights in the back. But anyways, I stole it off of Khan Academy. You say now?
Yeah.
So there's 4 debts that you owe here, right? You have a credit card debt, that's $500 at a 15% APR, right? And this is your minimum payment, so how much you must pay each month minimally. So you need to pay $20 on this, or else you're defaulting, right? So, let's say all of these minimum payments, right, are $200. So 20 plus 30 plus 75 plus 75. Did I do the math right? No, it's 200. So your minimum payment, $200, right? And let's say each month you have $300 to pay for your debt, right? Right? You have $300 to pay for your debt. So after you cover your $200 in debt, right? You cover this minimum payment of $200. You have $100 to pay your debt down. So there's 2 methods. One is the high rate method, and the other one is the snowball method. So the high rate method says, what the high rate method says is you should pay the debt down that has the greatest interest rate, right? And work backwards. So how would you do it then? Chris, how would you pay your debt down? According to the high rate method.
No idea.
Start with retail or whatever it is.
Retail card, yes?
Yeah.
And then?
Then credit,
Yes, credit.
loan A and then B.
Yeah, right. And the other method, it's called the snowballing method, right? And what that does is it pays down the debt that is easiest to pay down first. So you start with loan A because that's the smallest amount, right? Then you go to start with credit card. Then you go to loan A. Then you go to loan B. Then you go to retail card. So you're trying to get rid of your number of debts as fast as possible, right? So let's say you are this person with this all this money owed, right? Which method should you follow? Should you go with high rate or snowball?
Depends.
I'm gonna go with Shreya.
It's high rate.
Okay, why high rate?
Because the drop, because if you, I think it's because if you leave it there, the rate, the interest will go up, so then you'll have to pay more later.
Yes. So the high rate the high rate method, it's the mathematically optimal. So after because what you're doing in the high rate method is you're paying down your most expensive debt first, right? So in this case, your 30% APR will be your most expensive, your retail card, right? So you're getting rid of that debt. You're getting rid of the most expensive debt. And what under the high rate method, according to Khan's math, but you will be debt free after 47 months, and you'll pay a total of $3,900 in interest, right? But let's say the snowball method. The snowball method, if you do the snowball method, you will be debt free after 54 months. So this is versus 54. So obviously you're having a longer period, right? It takes you longer to pay the debt down. Yes, do you have a question? And then, so in this case, you're paying $309. So under the high rate method, you're paying $3,900 in interest, right? Versus under the snowball method, you'll be paying $6,600 in interest. Does this make sense? Snowball versus high rate, right? So, Kine, which method should you be taking?
High rate,
Why?
because you don't wanna pay as much in interest and it doesn't take as long.
It's the mathematically optimal. Yes?
But like, what if like instead of $500 for the credit card, it's $5 million? Would you still pay the retail card one first?
What do you mean?
Like if the credit card itself $500 is $5 million.
Yes, you would still get rid of the highest one first, right? Because it doesn't matter about the principal. Do you get what I mean?
You'd rather have a low rate for a long time than a low.
You want to get rid of the highest rate first,
Yeah.
right? Because that's the most expensive debt. That's costing you 30% interest, right? So that's the most expensive one.
So like if you have.
If it's $5 million, 15% is
Yeah.
more than 30% of $4,000.
What's up?
If Ryan?
Yeah. So.
So if Ryan said that if the credit card debt is not $500, but what if it's $5 million? 15% of $5 million would be a lot larger than 30%.
But you can't pay down $5 million, though, right?
Isn't that why you should get started right away?
No, you should get started on the most expensive one first, because the problem one. Well, at $5 million, at $5 million, you actually never pay the debt back because the interest rate will be more than the $300 per month, right? But the reason is, so you're thinking of the snowball method of paying down the smallest principal first, right? But the principal actually doesn't matter. It's the interest rate that matters because the interest rate is what's costing you money, right? If it's $5 million at 0% interest, you don't even have to worry about it because it's not going to cost you anything. But this one is so expensive at 30% interest rate that you should get rid of it fast, right? As soon as possible because it's so expensive. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You're more than do the math on it later, right? And then you'll see what I mean. But don't do $5 million because at $5 million you will not. The debt will accumulate faster than you can pay it back.
Oh.
All right. I don't even remember what the next slide is. What is the next slide? Oh, shoes. So let's say the shoe costs $1,000. Should you buy it?
Why?
Should you buy it?
No.
No, because it's
Why
ugly. It's,
Why did you deserve $1,000?
pardon?
It's probably like
Why is
$20.
it?
Don't you have those shoes?
Yeah, the green one.
Different colorway, different colorway.
That's besides the point. We're here to talk about finance, not my shoes. But yeah, this is kind of ugly.
Color.
The design too.
Why
The point is, shh. Point is, let's say there's this $1,000 shoe, right? And it's at an APR of 20%, and you can't afford this shoe. So we're gonna talk about how a credit card works, right? So, let's say you're brilliant at finance, right? You're a smart guy, and you say, I can't afford this shoe, so I'm gonna buy with my credit card. That was a joke. Don't do that. All right. You cannot afford this shoe. Oh, today's February 5th. So today's clearly not February 5th, but this PowerPoint was built for 2 weeks ago. So let's pretend today's February 5th, right? And the billing cycle is February 1st to March 1st. What's a billing cycle? Yes.
Like when the interest rate accumulates.
When they charge you.
No. Kind of, yes. Yes, Nathan?
When you're like, I pretty much like when the debt is, like, when the interest comes and like when you have to pay back the money.
No. We'll get into that in a bit. Yes, Leo? Do you have-
Was actually
Okay, so the billing cycle is actually far simpler. It's just a cycle of billing. And what that means is if you buy something between February 1st and March 1st, right, you'll get a statement for this month. So a billing cycle is typically 1 month, right? So, for example, if you buy it on February 5th, are you going to be part of this billing cycle?
Yeah.
Yeah, right, because you bought it within this month. Well, let's say you bought it in March 3rd. Would you be part of this billing cycle? No, so you get a statement for it in the March 1st, in the March 2nd to April 1st billing cycle, right? And so, after the billing cycle, there's something called the payment date, right? And the payment date is when you actually need to pay the money, right? So this is called a grace period. From March 1st to April 8th, that's called a grace period, right? So let's say you buy the shoe from February 1st to March 1st, right? You get that's within this billing cycle. You don't actually have to pay for it, and you don't need to pay interest on it until April 8th. So this March 1st to April 8th period is like a grace period where you don't need to pay interest on it, right? But let's say you don't pay off the $1,000 within this grace period, right? So it's April 8th, you get a statement. How much money do you have to pay? And let's say APR is 20%, right? APR equals 20%, and it's compounded monthly. So just a heads up, right? Most credit cards are actually compounded daily, right? But for the simplicity of math, we're going to do compounded monthly. Yes?
Okay, so you put like bracket 1 plus 0.2 and then divide it by 12. And then
1.2.
to the power of like the amount of. Wait,
So let's say April 8th, right? Do you have to pay back the $1,000? Let's start with that. Do you need to pay $1,000 to the credit card company on April 8th?
no.
Who thinks yes? Who thinks no? Come on, vote, people. Vote. You need to vote.
Question.
Okay, let's say it's April 8th, right? And you get a statement. Do you have to pay back the $1,000 for the shoe to the credit card company? Yes or no?
No.
Who wants to answer why no? Yes, Leo.
I mean, you could pay it back, but you don't have to. It'll just
Mhm.
accumulate interest.
Yeah, so at April 8th, right? You only have to pay back the interest that's owed on this shoe. So, let's see. Got my math. What is this equal to? What price of calculator?
That's 1 out of 10.
1 over 10? No? 1 over 10. Yes.
H on that.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh. Right. HO math. So you get a 0.1 interest. I don't think that's right, is it?
It is.
Like, are you wait.
No,
Right.
because look, it's a 20% interest, right? So it should be 20 over 12, right? What's 20 over 12?
1.6.
1.6. What's how that's a
Don't
fraction?
you have to put the 20% in decimals?
Yes. So 1.6%.
Yeah.
So it's 0.0016 repeating, right? So that's how much interest rate you have to pay on a monthly basis, right? So in this case, I think I have the answer here. Yeah, so 20% divided by 12 months. So each month is 1.67%, right? Not 10%. And 1.67 times 1,000, it's $16.67. So every month, theoretically, you only have to pay this money to the credit card company, right? In order to not go bankrupt or default on your debt. So let's say you have So it costs you 16.67, right? In interest. And let's say every month you pay $20 towards the shoe. And check my math here, right? Let's say this shoe's worth $1,000. You pay $20 per month. After 50 months, you'll pay off your debt. Is that true or no?
No.
Why no?
Interest.
Yeah, interest rate, right? So we briefly covered this last week, 2 weeks ago. So for every debt repayment, right, there's two parts of it. There's the principal part of it and the interest part of it, right? So in this case, you're actually not paying $16.67. When you pay $20, right, the $20 isn't going towards the $1,000, right? $16.67 of it is going towards the interest alone. So only $3.33 is going towards paying your shoe. So does that make sense? So it's 1,000
That's kind of sad.
divided by, right? So each month, only 10 over $3 is going towards a shoe. And what does that equal to? 10 over 3. 300 a month, right? It should be 300.
Yeah.
So you're actually not going to be done your debt in 50 months. You're going to be done in 300 months, right? And so 300 times $20 per month, right? That gets you a dollar amount of 6,000. So at the end of it, meaning by the time you're debt free, right, you would have had paid for this shoe for 300 a month and a total of $6,000 for a pair of shoes that's originally $1,000. Does that make sense? Is there a question?
Just pay upfront.
Yes, but you can't afford it, right?
You would just,
And let's say you're very smart, so you say, I'm going to buy with my
you
credit
could
card.
just take a loan from the bank and it'd be less than 20%.
Okay, here's the thing.
Can you get a loan for $1,000?
Yes, but I think usually,
No,
if you
need
can't
to
afford it
you
up
need to
front.
put down your house or something.
for a pair of shoes, right? So here's what you need to know. Credit cards are very, very expensive, right? Like APR 20% is actually a pretty standard rate. Some rates are higher and some rates are lower, right? But it's around that. That's a pretty standard rate for a credit card in Canada, right? And remember, although the APR is 20%, right? In our case, we said the interest was compounded monthly, right? In reality, credit card interest rate is compounded daily, right? So credit cards are actually a very expensive form of borrowing money, right? And I think the only reason you should use a credit card is not to buy things you can't afford. It's not to borrow money, right? You can use a credit card to say get points, right? Get those air miles or whatever, right? Get points, get rewards, pardon?
And to raise your credit score?
Yes, and to raise your credit score. Good. Smart. Smart man. That's why you're in an exec. Oh, okay. We already answered this question. You guys need to go, right? All right. What we
I
done
love
soon?
this scene.
I declare bank. Who knows what this is?
Office.
Do you guys remember this scene?
Yeah.
Why was he? Oh yeah. So I think like he bought a Porsche or something, and then he was going.
No. His wife was spending too much money.
Yeah,
And then his banker like looked at his stuff and he's like, "Yo, you gotta declare bankruptcy." So he walks out into the office.
I declare bankruptcy. All right. You have to go, right? In 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. What we done soon? So this I declare bankruptcy thing. We're going to talk about bankruptcy for a brief second. So for the longest time, when people have been lending money, right, there have been the question of what happens if they don't pay us back.
That's too bad.
Pardon?
That's too bad.
Right. Deal with it.
Well, it's a risk associated with giving like a loan.
No, there's things like
There's things that
collateral
goes
and
for it,
stuff.
right? For example, in the ancient Greek time, right? In the Greek times, if you can't pay it back, right? Let's say you owe me money. What happens if you can't pay me back?
chop off his hand. Take his wife.
Execution.
Take his wife?
Yeah, I don't know. It's rural times. They could do anything.
Hey,
chop
hey,
his
hey.
hand off.
Greeks were actually a very educated and cultured group of society, right?
What did they do?
I did not take his wife. He's my slave now. Right? So you'll be my slave until you pay the debt back.
Civilized.
Was that any better?
Wait. Let's fast forward a few thousand years to America, right? To America. What happens in America if Leo can't pay my debt back?
Why do
It's
you
a-
keep calling Leo? Like, stop.
Oh my
Right.
god. Oh my god. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry.
Just have Ryan and Leo sitting in the same place.
Yes. Oh no. You guys need to distance. Oh, but one thing before you guys go, I need to take a picture of with everyone. I'm going to do a selfie because we're going to the yearbook, right? Go with everyone.
Yeah.
You two won't be in it, but it's okay. So let's say we're in 1800s America, right? Ryan, you can't pay me back. What do I do to you?
Shoot me.
No.
I have
He
no.
wants money.
Pardon?
He wants his money.
Wait, it depends who you are. Are you a banker or are you like? a
No,
drug
let's say
dealer?
personally, right? Personally, this guy owes me money. Can't pay you back. What do I do? Do I break his kneecaps?
You take my house.
No, no, you don't have collateral. You can't pay back. You have no money.
He works for
You just have your bag there and your jacket.
Oh, he just takes things until, he just holds something until you pay back.
No. I have no idea what the Americans were thinking, but this is a stupid idea. I put him in jail.
Yeah.
Oh, you give them free living things and.
Yeah, I'm like, no. Jail back then was not that easy. Right? But I think this is actually a really stupid idea. Why would I throw you in jail, right? So what I do is I put him in jail until he can pay me back, or until his family pays me back. But that's stupid because you're in jail. How are you going to get the money to pay me back, right?
It should work for you.
No, but like,
Slavery.
it was dumb back then.
Almost exactly.
So Charles Dickens' father went through this, right? Where they went to jail because they can't pay debt back. But nowadays, we have something better.
The government.
No, bankruptcy. Okay, let's say you want to declare bankruptcy. So I declare bankruptcy. Am I bankrupt?
Well, not necessarily.
No, because you can't just go into your room and yell it. Right? We're going to talk about how bankruptcy works. We briefly talked about it a month back about how corporate bankruptcy works, right? But let's talk about personal bankruptcy today. So there's a lot of chapters, and I forgot the chapters, but I think there's like chapter, we're going to talk about two types, right? 11 and chapter 13. Close. So, I forgot which is which, but one of them is for restructuring, and one of them is for liquidation, right? So let's do the simple one first. Let's talk about liquidation. What does it mean? So you're bankrupt, right? You're into liquidation bankruptcy. What does that mean? Yes.
You have to liquidate all your assets.
And then sell it, and sell, right?
Yeah.
So let's say you're at a point where you can't pay your debts back, right? Let's say your debts are so huge that there's no point in paying it back. There's no point in trying. Let's say the interest rate, it's accumulating faster than your income, right? What you do is you can declare bankruptcy. And what happens is you're under bankruptcy protection, right? So under bankruptcy protection, let's say you owe, how much do you owe, Leo? Ryan! Ryan, how much do you owe?
10 billion.
No, that's too much.
10,000.
10,000, yep, that seems more modest. $10,000, right? And here, you have your house. That's worth $100. And then you have your little cool car here. Here's you. That's worth $200.
So you
It's a different world.
It's like one of those miniature cars.
Yeah. Yeah.
What else do we have?
Um,
You have a pair of glasses. Let's, that's too far. 2,000. Baller glasses, right? So what happens under liquidation bankruptcy, right? What happens is the bank will come in, they seize all these assets from Ryan, right? They seize all of these from Ryan. So let's say all of this added up, right? It's 2,000 plus 200 plus 100, right? So it's $2,300. And what happens is this $2,300 will go towards whoever holds your debt, right? So I hold your debt, so I get all this, right? So in this case, I'm getting 23 cents on the dollar for every debt you owe, right? And after this, you're done. So you're bankrupt, you start over again. This debt, it's gone. But you lose everything. So, let's say you owe $10,000 and you can't pay back. Should you just declare bankruptcy and say, I'm done with this, I'm out of here? No. You cry? Because there's consequences to declaring bankruptcy, right? Like earlier, we talked about a FICO score. If you declare bankruptcy, your FICO score will go from like a 7 to a 2 in IB terms. But yeah, so it's not just as simple as yelling, I declare bankruptcy, right? And what happens when your FICO score goes from 7 to a 2? You have trouble getting a loan for a car, but you buy houses. You have to go, right?
yeah.
All right, see you guys.
Yeah, I think it-
All right, thanks for coming.
Thanks.
Why do you have a bell? Leave
That's a
quietly.
good question.
All right.
So that
See you guys.
Okay, bye. See ya.
Call Santa.
Pardon?
To call Santa.
Call
off.
Santa.
It's for bears.
It's
Yeah.
for bears, yeah.
Bears?
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't like bells.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mom carries this huge like jiggle thing when she goes out for a walk constantly.
Oh, for bears.
Yeah, for bears.
to, like,
They don't
away.
like
Yeah, I
the
agree.
jingling sound.
Ryan, it's like tiny guy. Can't beat a bear up. He's not here.
I don't think any of us can.
I can beat a bear up.
Yeah?
Really?
Big guy?
Huh?
Big guy?
I'll talk some stock advice for the bear.
Oh yeah.
And then he'll
I'll be
talk.
like, thanks.
Huh?
I won't eat you.
Yeah.
Is it good?
Sure, Jimmy. I'll tell you, sure, Jimmy. Anyways, yeah, so this is one type of bankruptcy, right? And the consequences are one, it'll follow you around on your credit score, right? So it makes your life after harder. And second, it's just certain restrictions. For example, I know if you're under bankruptcy, right? Within 7 to 10 years, you're put under restrictions. For example, you can't just go out and buy Rolex. You can't fly a plane, I think. You can't travel, right? So there's definitely consequences of declaring bankruptcy. And the next one we're going to talk about is Chapter 13, called restructuring.
Wait, Tiger, I have a question.
Yes.
What if like you have like hidden money and like you declare bankruptcy on only like half of your money, and then you can just.
That's fraud. But
But don't
something that
rich
business people can do, right, is they can declare bankruptcy on their business, but personally still be rich. Like Donald Trump declared bankruptcy 4 times, but his business went bankrupt, right? So, which is why we talk about like LLCs, right? Limited liability corporation. So personally, you're not liable for any company the money owes, right? It's just the company's liable. Does that make sense? But yeah, it'll be fraud if you hide money. Okay, so let's say you owe $10,000 here, right? And I am the big bad shark loan shark, right? Who wants to be the new person that owes money? Monica. You want to owe some money? Sure. Monica, right? Again, there's a little house that's worth $100. Your car that's worth $200. You don't have glasses.
I
You
don't
have
want that.
contacts.
And what kind of glasses cost 2,000?
So let's say in restructuring, you declare bankruptcy. What happens? Restructuring bankruptcy. We talked about this briefly with the with corporate bankruptcy, right? We talked about liquidation and restructuring. Ninkar, do you remember?
I think people can like take over your company and divide your assets into their own plan.
That's in the corporate case, kind of. I'm gonna go with Janet.
Well, last time I think they just put the debt on different parts.
Not exactly. Shreya? We learned about this in geo, do you remember? Debt restructuring. So let's say you owe $10,000, right? And at a 10% interest rate, right? And there's no way you can pay this money back. So what happens was, let's say Monica will come to me, right, and say, look, I cannot pay this $10,000 at a 10% interest rate back, right? And then we will work out a new plan. And let's say, okay, you pay me 50 cents on the dollar. What does that mean? How much money do you owe me if you pay me 50 cents on the dollar? Yeah, so now you only owe me $5,000, right? And I'll say, I'll make your interest rate 5%. Why would I do this? Why would I be so nice to you and say, you can pay me 50 cents on the dollar and only a lower interest rate? Why would I do it? Shreya, why would I do this? Yeah. I would rather have part of something than all of nothing, right? In the bankruptcy case, I only got $2,300 in assets, so I got 23 cents on the dollar. And what this does is I make the debt manageable for Monica so she can actually pay me back $5,000 plus my interest. Does that make sense? And then the bankruptcy is labeled in chapters because there's that many chapters of bankruptcy, right? Like there's chapter 12, which is, I think, restructuring for farmers and fishers because they're important to the country, right? They're part of food production. And then we talk about chapters 7 and 11, which is for corporations, right? All right, we're done with bankruptcy. Is there any questions on bankruptcy? Yes, Monica.
I think it was chapter 11. If you declare bankruptcy, who pays off your debts?
For liquidation, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure I got the chapters right. So we're talking about liquidation. So in the liquidation case, right, what happens is they'll take your assets, auction it, and then go towards your debt.
But like, what if it's not enough? Like, you liquidate everything, you sell it and stuff, but you still have like $5,000
It's done.
Yeah.
The debt is done.
They just
Yeah.
So the
It's
landlord
just your
loses money.
assets value.
Yeah. So sure, all your assets are taken away, but now the debt is cleared, right? Done.
It makes sense, but like, do they just not pay it off?
Nobody pays
They
the
still
loss.
lose
The
money.
lender
It's a
just
bankruptcy
loses money
protection,
because
right?
it's also a risk by like lending money to somebody.
Mhm.
It's also an investment to them, and that's the risk. They lose money if they get bankrupt.
Yeah. So whatever money's not paid back, it's forgiven, kind of. But they have to seize all of your assets from you. It's not all of it. You get to keep some stuff, like
Your shoes.
your shoes. I think Ryan should get to keep his glasses, because that would be needy for him. Yeah.
Takes his clothes and his bells.
Yes, Nagar.
So if you go into bankruptcy, how long do you have restrictions on your ability to purchase?
7 to 10 years, I think.
So,
All right. That doesn't seem very centered. It's fine.
And what can't you buy, like houses and stuff?
There are certain restrictions you can't do. I think leisure travel, for example, vacations, plane tickets. I'm not sure. You can look into it. Hopefully, none of you will go into bankruptcy, right? If you go into bankruptcy, it's a proof that I haven't done my job properly. All right, let's see what's next. Ooh, earnings your support. Is this your slide? I think this is your slide, right?
Oh, sure. I think you have.
Yep,
Oh, yeah,
this is
sure.
yours. So Philip is going to talk about university tours.
Okay,
Oh,
sure.
yay.
So this is more like university oriented. So earning in university, some common sources. A lot of universities have co-op programs, and that basically means there's connections between employers and the university, and it's typically in the industry you're studying in. For example, if you're doing like an engineering major and you decide to do co-op, you'd most likely be working for an engineering company, and you'd be getting paid. And then some universities that offer co-op programs are University of Waterloo, UBC, SFU, UFT. Some co-op programs are better. For example, University of Waterloo is really, really good for engineering co-ops because they have a lot of connections with employers all across North America and even in Europe. Not an advertisement, it's just a good program. And one downside to this is co-op programs typically take an academic term away from your major, so it's gonna take you typically even a year longer to complete your actual bachelor. However, one advantage is that you have a lot more experience typically than the other students in your field. So when you do get out of university, you'll have a lot more experience and you'll have a lot more work in your resume than other people. So that can actually benefit you finding a job after university. And of course you get paid internship part-time, of course.
Can I ask how much you get paid? Is it like
Oh,
a
it's
third?
dependent per, okay, so some universities have like the average pay typically, and it's typically on their website, and it depends on the major you're doing, and also the company that you co-op at.
So
So
like,
it
in
differs.
relation to like the real life job of it, if you're
Oh, you get
qualified-
paid less.
Right. Is it
Because
like,
that's why companies do co-op, right? Because they get cheap
Really?
labor
Oh.
basically, right?
yeah.
But you
How
also
much
get
less is it?
experience.
Is it like a third?
Oh,
or
well,
fifth?
for engineering, University of Waterloo, it can even go up to 6 figures in some cases.
Oh,
Yeah,
6
yeah,
figures?
yeah.
Oh my god.
But
That's insane.
it really depends on the company
Okay.
and on the major you're
Oh,
doing.
sorry, I have a question. So for 6 figures, is it
It's like 100.
is it theoretically 6 figures if you were to work full time, or were they actually paying you 6 figures for the time you're working? Because
The time you're working.
part time for
Yeah,
6
yeah, yeah.
figures.
Engineering, it's crazy for University of Waterloo, but that's like on the high end of the spectrum for
Wow.
engineering. That's
I
not
chose the wrong
average.
major.
That's not average.
I chose the wrong major. Sure, question.
Oh,
What is the benefit of you doing this? Can't you just find like a job on your own? Like, do you get like credit from it, or like?
well, okay. First of all, you get experience for the field that you're in specifically, and also you're working in the same field, right? So it's gonna benefit your education as well, right? Because you're gonna actually have like some hands-on experience with what you're doing, and a lot of these companies only recruit students that have, say, for example, Google, right? They're typically not gonna take someone in that has no university education unless it's through co-op while you're in university, right? There still are internships, but a co-op is just a different avenue to approach
What's
work.
the difference between paid internships and co-ops?
Okay, well, internships aren't always paid, and then co-ops are exclusively through the university program. Internship is outside of university.
I have a question. How much is a business co-op?
Business co-op? You can search it up. It depends.
Better be 650.
I don't think so.
Or else I'm
I don't
switching
think
majors.
so.
Or else I'm switching.
It's a lot more saturated. And then some sources before university, part-time job, of course. Make sure you can manage the job alongside school so it doesn't impair your academic ability, of course. And then tutoring younger kids, and this isn't only in school subjects. Like I think Tiger tutors
should do
kids
piano.
in piano, right?
Here's the thing. If you tutor them privately, you can charge more. I think at the time I was charging 25.
Yeah.
Now I can charge like 45 because I got this new degree thing, right? But it's COVID, so I can't. Yeah, like take advantage of your skills.
Okay, yeah, and I think that's it for me.
I think the next one might be yours too. Oh no, next is mine. All right, cost of UBC solder. Wait, before we start, let's talk about majors. I'm gonna call you and you're gonna declare your major, right? If you don't know, say undecided or declare 2 or 3. Yes, you.
Idea.
Undecided.
Undecided.
Law or teaching or education?
Good one. Yes.
Undecided.
What about you?
You can tell me.
Business.
Yes.
Yes.
Something in pre-med, biology probably.
Pre-med, medical student. Good, you're gonna be rich one day. Yes.
She looks like it.
Psychology? Engineering. Ooh, 100K. Oh. Remember what we talked about how marriage is a financial decision?
Yeah.
A lot of guys going after you.
One thing for co-op, your academic ability does matter. So say you're bottom of the class, you're not gonna get too many co-op opportunities, especially if it's a competitive field. You're not gonna get a job offering from a
So
company.
like the best in the
So
best
yeah,
in
like the top of the class will typically get the
Or
co-op.
you get like worse co-op. You get a
Yeah,
co-op like-
yeah, you get worse companies, worse pay. So it's really dependent on your academic standard.
So yeah, I'm gonna go into the cost of college, right? So this is how much, I just went on the calculator, how much it costs to live on campus for UBC solder, right? And I included Harvard on there because I think there's half of us in here that's applying for Harvard.
Is this yearly?
Yeah, no, total, 100 grand over 4 years. This is how much it cost, right? And then in the next slides, we're going to how to pay for this. How much do you guys think Harvard cost?
$500,000.
For international students.
$500,000, that's a good guess. Anyone else? Nagar, take a stab. You wanna go to Columbia, right? Columbia should be very similar to this.
Oh, great, like 250K?
No.
Higher? Oh,
400 grand to live on campus. And Columbia, I think it might be more expensive because you're in New York and that's a very expensive city, right?
Is that number in USD for Harvard?
I know. It's
There's no
translated
way.
back into CAD.
I can't go to Harvard.
Yeah.
Wow.
Harvard's expensive. Wow.
Our tuitions.
So, in the next slides, we're going to how to pay for this. Alright, so paying for college. I kind of listed the steps here, right? So one, it's just for your paycheck, right? So you figure out how much money you can set aside per month times 68 month. So 68 month, it's the assumption that you're in grade 11 until the time you graduate, right? 68 month. And then the second one is for your parents. Any savings or investments you or your parents can set aside, safely set aside, right? So don't go into the emergency money or retirement funds. I think it's really basic. Don't use retirement money to pay for college. Because you can get a loan for college, but you can't get a loan for retirement. And then the next two are explore need-based aid and merit aid. These are the best ones because they're basically free money, right? You don't need to pay them back. And for the Ivy League system, I know these Ivy League schools are quite expensive, but they have a very good financial aid. They have all the schools in Ivy League, I think they have 100% of needs satisfied through financial aid, right? And what that means is they'll pay for you if you can't afford it without you having to pay back. So need-based is financial aid in this case, and merit-based is more like your scholarships, right? And the second one is look into federal student loan programs. One thing here, you actually cannot go bankrupt on your student loan debt. Meaning, even after you go bankrupt, the debt is still going to follow you around. And then we're going to talk about debt, right? Consider your salary within a 10-year period from graduation. So consider whether you can actually pay that debt back. And the second one is ask if your investment can be paid off over the long term. Now, I want to start by saying, I think everyone should go chase after their passion, right? Do the degree that you're interested in. Even if it's like degree in astrology. If you're interested in it, go for it.
I don't think there is one.
You probably do a
Degree-
PhD in astrology. Because it's like,
Isn't that pseudoscience?
Astrology?
Yeah,
What do you
but-
mean? It's real science.
PhD, you get to choose like the specific thing. Like you have freedom.
You can do a PhD in astrology?
I think so, yeah.
Jeez.
I don't think there
you can
are
get a
any
PhD
PhDs, but
for
I think it would be
mythology.
feasibly
Mythology.
possible.
Yeah.
Mythology, it's a study.
Okay, I might be wrong, but I do believe that you have freedom.
The person who wrote Achilles
Yeah.
had an
I know.
mythology
Our
background.
our librarian took Greek mythology as well.
Yeah. But what I want to say is, when you're borrowing money, right, really consider how much your degree is going to get you, right? If you have a degree in astrology, how should I say this tonight? Anyone in here pursuing astrology? Great, I can be me.
Entrepreneurship and vlogging.
You can write a
That
book.
one is that one's higher than astrology. Okay, so no one's pursuing astrology. It's a useless degree. Odds are, if you take out 20 grand for it, right, it might be hard for you to pay it back. So, what I'm saying is, go after what you're passionate about, right? But when you're borrowing money, understand how much degree, because your degree is your investment, right? Understand how much your degree will make you, right? Are you going to be a doctor, an engineer, or a struggling artist? Nothing wrong with art, but art is great. I do think art is great, but understand, be realistic about how much money your degree is going to make you, right? This is yours, right?
Oh, financial support. Are we gonna skip over it, or we can? I can do it.
Yeah, sure. Do it.
Okay, so scholarships are essentially merit-based, which we talked about before, right? Bursaries and grants, you don't actually have to pay back the rewards, and they're just rewards based on financial support. Keep in mind, a lot of universities actually tie in your merit-based, so scholarships, with financial aid. So for example, if you got $100K in financial aid, and you also got a scholarship from the same university for $25,000, a lot of universities actually put that into, they just take away $25,000, and then you still get 100K, right? They don't actually put anything above the 100K that you
What does
receive.
merit-based mean?
Merit-based means like academic standing, say.
Athletic. So it's like
Yeah.
scholarship. So it's based on how good you are. Need based is based on financial need,
Yeah.
like your income level or your wealth level.
Government student loans, they're just loans from the government that allow students to borrow money for education. Yeah, that's about it. You don't have to pay back the loan till after university.
All right, is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to talk about RESPs. Do we have anything after this? Okay. Before we go into this, we're going to talk about RESP. Anyone know what an RESP is? Who has an RESP in here? You guys have one? Good. What is it, Monica? Tell me what an RESP is.
It's like money put aside for university.
Yeah, for your education. Registered. I forgot what it stands for. What does it stand for?
Earning
Registered
savings.
education. I think education savings program. Sounds about right. So what an RESP is where it's a fund where you or your parents can contribute money towards, right? And there's no annual contribution limit. You can contribute up to 50 grand per child for it. So max is 50 grand. Right? And this is actually a good thing because the Canadian government will match up to 20% of your contribution into this fund, right? Up to $7,200 in lifetime. So let's say you put $1,000 towards your education in this fund, right? The government will contribute $200 too.
Oh my god.
So free money. So you can get up to $7,200 in free money over the lifetime, right? Now, this is the part where I'm interested in. Investments in your RESP are tax-free. Meaning if you make money, so your RESP isn't just a pile of cash sitting there, right? You can invest that money. You can trade stocks with it. Although,
How much liquidity is in it? Because why don't I just invest in RESPs? Like they give 20% like returns, and
here's
it's
the thing.
10% better than
You
the
can't
RESPs.
scam the government, right? Let's say you don't go to college, right? And this fund gets liquidated. What happens is you have to give the 20% back to the government
Yeah.
and pay the taxes, right? And I think you're allowed to trade with the money in your RESP. So 50K, right? Although I would recommend against day trading this money or like shorting GME. That's not what you do with your college money. You can buy more safe things with it, right? So you can invest in money. And yeah, which is why I think RESPs are such a great thing. I know I have one, but I don't trade with the money in there because I'm not going to mess with my college money, right? So yeah, RESP, look into it. It's a bit late now, but it's never too late, right? So ask your parents about it, look into it. It's free money, so take it. All right, I think this is the last slide. Do you qualify for aid? So need-based aid and merit-based aid. So need-based aid, again, is calculated on your finances, right? So for example, I know, although Harvard's very expensive, if I go to Harvard, I can actually get a very good need-based aid program, right? Where they'll like give me a discount on my tuition. And the merit-based aid is like your scholarships. And if you guys are more interested in scholarship, right? So us in grade 11, this is when we should start looking into it. I think grade 9s and 10s, you still have a bit of time. Go talk to Miss Chang, right? It's Miss Chang?
Miss Chang.
Has anyone spoken to her before? Yeah, so Miss Chang is down in the career office, right? Go talk to her. She's such a nice person. She's great. She gave me a lot of info for this, right? But she knows the best. And it's a free resource, so take advantage of it. Even if you guys are going through course selection, right? You guys should talk to her because she knows so much about universities and with like these scholarships, right? Yes?
When should I apply for them? Like
What?
should I apply for them this year or next year?
I don't
I
know.
think there's specific deadlines for specific scholarships.
Yeah.
So it really
Is there
varies.
anything that I have to do to prepare?
Yes,
for application?
volunteering usually is one. Leadership. Do you have to go? Okay, yeah.
I think it's-
We can share. So it's volunteering, leadership, right? So you have to look into the ones. There's really big ones, are like 100K or like 50K,
Like
right?
more
Yeah.
institution,
But like, there's also like small ones. Like I know Miss Herzog going from like $500 from like some fishing and hunting institution.
Some are local.
Yeah, they're, like,
so
very small.
you're competing with people within your town or whatever, and
Yeah.
the national level ones.
Yeah, just a stat. So every hour on average, right? Every hour you spend applying for scholarships, you get $110, which is really good. If you work right now, also you're not going to make $110 an hour, right? For scholarship, it's worth it. Spend your time, look into it. And some of the small scholarships are very easy to get. It's free money, so look into it. Yeah, and this is just the calculators. Blah blah blah. All right, we're done. All right, let's do photos, guys. I need to put my mask on.
Yeah.
Oh.
Why don't we just use this?
Yeah, we are. One thing I need to ask everyone.